Jake, good
Morning.
morning. I'm shot out of a cannon today, man. I can't wait to get this thing started. How are you feeling?
I'm stoked about it, man. We're yeah, let's just go. I don't even want to talk about it anymore.
All right, brother. So, listen, today on Disruption, we are covering the fact that it ain't pretty. And what I mean by that is the fake it till you make it meets I've made it meets I can't believe I've made it. And all of a sudden, this is not what I thought it was, right? When you watch a movie, you can watch a TV show or a movie and you see somebody who's apparently a very successful person, right? And uh, they're in an office. There's a secretary, slick backgrounds, right? They're not, with plants in the background and a chair over here, right? They're successful. They're the image of what we think successful should be, right? But all that comes at a cost. Okay. I feel most folks out there associate that look with the actual sensation of being successful.
Hmm.
And I want to talk today about that's not that pretty. And I'm going to tell a cool story about a very successful guy in a little bit. But when I say it ain't pretty, and I frame that up for you, what are you talking about? What are you hearing? What are you saying in your mind? What's that internal chatter got there?
So many different quotes. Like one of them that I've heard is the money's in the mess is one of them that I've heard in that respect. And the one that I'm really leaning on from a coaching perspective is comparing your insides to somebody else's outsides. So when you describe that person that got all of those great backgrounds and it looks really slick and it's really sharp, and you're associating that visualization with the feeling of success of what that is, well, it's going to look different for them. And I guarantee you there's some messy stuff that's in there. I mean, I was on a coaching call yesterday, and this happens constantly in my career over the last 15 years. I can't tell you how many clients I've coached on this one particular thing, and they talk about, oh, I'm working 15, 16 hours a day, and just grinding. And then what you see in their social media is like this, one picture of, oh, living my best life. And you see that, right, I saw that image this morning of this person that I was having this conversation with, and the irony is wild. So, like, think about that. It's not just what you see and you're like, man, they've got their stuff all together and it's 100% good and everything is great, and I just wish I could be there. No, that's crap. That's crap, dude, because it's not true. That is not true, and it's a falsehood that I would say around that. So I can keep blowing down that road, but like I would say, let I would run down the money's in the mess, because that's part of it. I mean, I've got a whiteboard over here. I would love to show you that whiteboard, but you couldn't read it. There is no chance you could understand what that looks like at all. I've sent Mike the picture. He's seen it. He laughed, of just, it's a mess. There's a lot of things that are on there of just unpacking what's in my head. It's a mess. And the reality is, we're it all makes sense though. That it makes sense to me. It doesn't have to make sense to somebody else. So as usual, I'm running a little off the rails on that, and that's okay. But that's from a coaching perspective. That's what I'm hearing, is that little bit of comparing your insides to somebody else's outsides when you say that.
That that's a powerful quote, and I often suffer from that, and I then immediately cure my suffering. I used to do that all the time, and up until about probably 3 years ago, maybe even sooner, I really stopped doing that. And I have to tell you, from two guys that started a show that and within a year later, you and I have done wild ideas and successfully monetized our show and changed lives with it. I have to say that it really ain't pretty, because nothing around has changed. We still have all the same things, all the same bills, all the same expenses. But what I do have a little bit more fulfillment, because it went from idea to impact. Not to hopelessly quote our book, but from idea to impact with TD. And with the idea of this is not pretty and it's not going to be. We may be associated with pretty from time to time. We have good logoing, we have good design, our website looks good. Things are definitely upscale in certain areas and have come a long way. But at the same time, if someone has this vision, and there's nothing wrong with that, if you have this vision of being in the office, having the admin assistant just outside, everything's glass, you're taking an elevator to get where you have to go. Sure, hey, great, awesome. That's nothing wrong with that. But you have to realize you're not going to go out and buy a new car right away. You're not going to go out and change anything immediately. Success isn't pretty. It's in here. And even if you have achieved a monetary goal or you've had a windfall, then it's time to say, okay, let me switch gears to keep it going, right? Achieving and then retaining are two totally different things. Now, let me tell you something. If you think achieving success is hard, retaining it is even harder.
Mm-hmm.
Now, success often kind of works like this sort of EKG machine where it hopefully sort of keeps climbing, or you have multiple things going that are all in their own EKGs up and down, up and down. But when I run into ultra successful people, and what I consider ultra successful people is they are fulfilled emotionally, fulfilled with family, right? Fulfilled spiritually, whatever that looks like to you, fulfilled personally in terms of self care, and then fulfilled professionally in terms of executing, and they're not chasing. Or if they are chasing, they're chasing for a reason. Example, somebody's working really hard, making a lot of money, spending a lot of money, knowing that they're spending a lot of money right now for a strategic reason. That's success. That's having control. That to me is what that is. Being in control. The amount of money, the amount of possessions, the amount of material is only a matter of mindset, and the amount of material is only a matter of what exactly you're selling and what exactly you're doing and where you place your value. So success doesn't have necessarily anything to do with 7 figures, 6 figures, 5 figures, 3 figures. So let's work with retaining success. What do you think is the number one cause for self-sabotage, and why people can't retain their success and why some do?
I'm going to call it two things. So one, I'm going to go back to where you and I started, where we talked about comparing your insides to somebody else's outsides. I think the expectation of success is not set correctly in your mind from the beginning of just what that actually is. You've made that goal look like something, it may not even be what you want. And I'll give you the example of that. I was a CEO. I was the leader of a company, a multi-million dollar corporation that I got hired to run. I had the glass office in the corner with the cool desk and the nameplate, and had the secretary out front. I hated it. Hated it. But I always thought that's what I wanted. I always thought that was the thing of success. And it was ugly and it was messy, and I worked my butt, and it was zero fun, dude. Zero fun to be in that space. I didn't have the right coach at the time too. But so I would tell you, one, it's setting a wrong expectation. Just plain and simple. Your expectation isn't right. The second one I would tell you, and we see this, you and I see this constantly in coaching, it's the inconsistency in activities. So this is the one I really want to roll at, to where Mike said earlier, a lot of times success slash business looks like the EKG, right? And it looks like this. Well, that sine wave that goes across there, you remember that from junior high, the first time you saw that thing, the sine waves? That's the cycle of business, but that's the cycle of activity. And you will see the people that are truly successful are consistent in their activity. They are overcome with doing the boring things that they have to do on a day-to-day basis. I have to make X amount of phone calls, talk to Y amount of people, have Z amount of appointments, dot, 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 dot. When you see success start sliding down and dropping off, it's because the consistent activities did not uphold that. So the ones that you see, it just looks like they're always doing this, right? They're always on that wave and they're always climbing, climbing, climbing. It may not be super fast, but they're always climbing. It's because they're consistent in their activities on a daily basis. What you really see, like real estate is probably the easiest one for everybody to understand because it's in the news, NAR's all over everything. But real estate is, everybody says real estate is cyclical. Real estate is cyclical. Okay, what are the contributing factors? One is buyers and sellers are shopping the greatest rates they could ever get, right? They want these huge rates. When rates are really, really low, the market is just sailing, just absolutely doing great things. But when we need to adjust the rate to adjust for economic times, the rate goes up, the market drops down, the cycle drops. That's one aspect of it. That's not the aspect of it. The other part we see for realtors is real estate professionals by and large, and I coach a pile of them. That's why I'm using them. And I have been one. I've had a real estate career. So, don't call me and text me and say, I don't know what I'm talking about. Actually do. Actually post a message in the comments and say, I have no idea. I would love to have that conversation with you. As a real estate professional, what happens is you work really hard, you get new clients, and all of a sudden they're under contract, and you pay attention to all the things that are in order to get that for sale, but you forget to do the things you did to get the buyer or the seller. So all of a sudden you've got sales, but you have nothing in your pipeline. It's standard sales. I'm just using real estate as the example.
Well, standard sales and the business activities, you're always doing something, right? Now, if again, post in the comments your version of what the activities that we're talking about are, but you're always doing something. So if you're not doing the something towards the thing you're trying to do, you're doing something else. So let's be clear. Somebody's always doing something. I'm always doing something. You're always doing something. If goal is X and activity is not something plus something equals X, then you're not going to get to X as quickly. There's setbacks. And here's a tip. If you've got goals and you're trying to achieve them, have a 3-day review. Now, if you're a rookie, a 3-day review is great. Typically, you should have a daily review, but if you're an amateur at this, have a 3-day review. Every 3 days, I don't care whether it's a weekend, I don't care what holiday, vacation, every 3 days, look back at what you've done and say, what have I done for my goal? What exactly have I done over the last 2 days? The day you're reviewing is the 3rd day, right? Typically, you should do it in the morning, and if you do this way, you can kind of correct. So you take your 3-day review, you look back, any activity at all, any activity at all. Oh my goodness, the kids, the house, the leak, the dog, the car, the obligation, the birthday. There's always a the. There's always a string of those. And as we both know, being human beings, there's going to be a string of those from here until we have no more of those left and we're in the ground, or in a mausoleum above the ground, or we're cremated and we're blown around in the wind. The 3-day review, it's a powerful tool. Have I done anything to make my success happen? And it could be literally as ugly as writing something down on a piece of napkin and making a phone call and writing the notes of the phone call down on a napkin. That contributes to something. Not perfect, but anything is better than nothing. Now, how does that sound when I tell you that, Jake?
It's brilliant advice, and you're 100% right, because it is, man. I want to give you all the kudos in the world. Like, I love the fact that it's 3 days because it's different. Because I've heard how many times, review daily, review weekly, review monthly. Here's what we do know. 80% of the business owners out there, I guarantee, aren't doing any of those. If they review annually, that's impressive. Like, that's just where it's terrifying. It's absolutely petrifying as a coach. and that's one of the things we look at. But every 3 days, how long would it actually take you? 10, maybe 15 minutes every 3 days.
Well, every 3 days, guilt yourself into doing something because I find
Yeah.
I find sometimes when you do a daily review, there's so much new stuff that piles on. There's that shutdown guilt kicks in sometimes. And if this is a new skill for you and you're not able to outsource a lot and you're literally doing everything, it's easy for us to sit here and say outsource, outsource, outsource. Yeah, okay, we do that. We have people
Mhm.
that are on our team that we outsource to. I'm not making it big time. I would fail without that. I would not have the
100%.
ability to congruently carry out and execute things the way we do without a team. I can tell you that right now. And let me finish this conversation. Let me talk about something about how people get where they got to go real quick, Jake. Let's talk about boardroom battleground. I'm going to take a pause out of that chat for a second. You've been seeing me flipping these things up on the screen here. Boardroom battleground. Do you need a shot in the arm for your PR for your business? Do
Yes.
you want to get in front of millions of people? Do you
Yes.
want to get your story told? Do you want to
Yes.
be seen? Jake, do you want to be seen?
Yes. 100%. The answer is yes to all of these questions, Mike.
So tell me a little bit more about Battleground.
Battleground was born of this TV show, right? It's not just this show. Battleground is about entrepreneurs and immediate visibility, immediate credibility, immediate authority, every aspect that you could possibly throw in there. That's the cool words that are getting yourself in front of your bigger audience. I had a conversation with one of our contestants yesterday that just validated it. Yeah, I know. I'm watching that QR code. It's brilliant. That just validated the whole thing, because what occurred was she was at another event, and and it was a slap in the face for her. It was absolutely beautiful because they went in a good way, like in a great way. It was because she went to the event, and this particular individual got her up on stage like she needed to be, and made the simple statement of, really all you need to be is in front of more people, right? And she was like, yeah. And he said, everybody in here that needs this person's business, show of hands. More than 50% of the people in the room put their hands up. And it was an eye-opening moment for her of how incredibly important her business is, but she's been the best kept secret. She's making one phone call at a time. She's not asking for the business. There was some issues there, but it was such a beautiful moment. And she came back to me in this, and she's like, let's go. I get it now. I see where we're headed. So I'm super stoked that's where this is going. So it's like, get in front of people, quit hiding. Like, just quit it, man. Quit being a secret agent, quit being a secret business owner. There's no reason for it. That's a choice. That's a choice. Your choice is to click that QR code over there that Mike was pointing down to and sign up, get on Battleground, be part of Inner Circle, be part of Guild, join us, and let's go faster together. Let's disrupt together.
Amen to that. And, from a guy who ran a boutique business for about, I don't know, 8 years, 9 years, I called it a boutique business because it was boutique, by appointment, personal service, working with affluent clients. I was kind of at capacity, but here's what happens. You find that you're flowing for a while, and without some sort of pipeline and exposure and visibility, if your core group drops down, you're done, man. You're done. You don't have as much revenue coming in. Battleground tells your story. Battleground puts you in front of other people. Battleground shows the world what you do, illustrates your superpower, and then basically is a shot in the arm of adrenaline for your entire business, your mindset, your daily activities. It's awesome. Get to Battleground. All right, I'm popping this off the screen, and here we go. So back to what we were talking about before that. When we talk tactics and we talk strategy, we talk shutdown, I'm going to tell you about a quick story about this guy, Lou. Right out of Nowheresville, southern New Jersey, in a town, Salem, New Jersey, at middle of nowhere, right? End of the earth in terms of New Jersey, just before you jump over the river there into Delaware. This guy developed $100 million business plus. He sold the business. It was a food business.
Mm-hmm.
He sold recipes and ideas for a boatload of money. I can't even tell you tens of millions of dollars. Unbelievable success story. No real estate, no offices, no hard goods, no staff, no office furniture, no phones, nothing. Intellectual property, IP,
Intellectual property.
all IP. Built, built, built. Daily activities, team, make this a massive success. Now his name is on the gym at my kid's school because he funded it. Now he gives scholarships. Now he's turning around and changing lives. He's gone beyond in, turned around and moved it to out. So it dawns on me that a motivating strategy, don't make it all about in, make it about the out and getting to the point where it can start going back out because so much of it is coming in. Now,
Mm-hmm.
when I say that, I don't want to mislead people in terms of give everything away and only make that your goal. But let's talk strategy. We got the 3-day rule. But I've got a different vision now in my head that does something besides money, success. What do you have, Jake? Let's plus one, two of those things. You like that? Plus one, two? Thanks, three.
Plus one or two, yeah. So I love the fact that you're talking about, start with the end in mind, which is Stephen Covey, right? Start with the end in mind is literally where he is. So where you're talking about with this individual, that we'll use him as the example. His business was messy. Oh, I mean, I guarantee from a physical standpoint, oh dear, very like we're
Just
talking dirty job stuff. It was super, super messy. And now he is at a point. His name's on the plaque at Mike's Kids Gym. He is donating. He's creating scholarships. When he started this business, he thought, I am going to sell this business. And when I sell this business, I'm going to get my name. I'm going to build that gym. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. He started with the end in mind, which drove him through the mess. Those were the muck boots. Those were the squeegees. Those were all the things that got him moving into that space. I did an editorial interview yesterday for the magazine coming up this coming month, and that was exactly her thought. When she designed the business, she said, I'm launching this business, and in 10 years, I'm selling it for $25 million. This is her plan day one. And then the actions and activities, again, this keeps you consistent. This keeps you out of the EKG machine. And this keeps you kind of doing that hockey stick effect, going this direction, is think about that with the end in mind. What's your intention? What's our plan? Mike and I have a plan. We have an exit strategy. 100% where we are. That was day one, is when we sat down and we said, are you cool with if this is where we're going? We said, yes, that's where we are going. And everything we build goes to there. So that's when we think about that Stephen Covey quote, start with the end in mind. That's what he's talking about. Is everything, if you're now, you guys hear me talk about marathons all the time. Like, I use this reference all the time. If your intention is to run a marathon, that doesn't necessarily mean finish the marathon or win the marathon or place and get qualified for another marathon. So be really cautious in what you're doing and what the expectation looks like in order for you to hit the goal, because your activities are going to follow the expectation. When you tell a little squishy thing, your hypothalamus, back of your mind, I call it the little squishy thing all the time. When you tell it, I want to run a marathon, well, it can do that, and it'll probably get you at least a mile, and technically you ran a marathon. Or you can tell it, I intend to finish top 10 finisher in my age class. It's going to set up the expectations in a different way and the activities in a different way for you to succeed. Like, its job is to do exactly what you tell it to do. If you get out of bed in the morning and say, I feel like crap today, its job is to make sure it validates that thing. You get out of bed in the morning and say, I need to run 9 miles today because I need to be a top 10 finisher. That's what it's going to set you up to succeed in.
Powerful stuff. I like the mindset. I like the mentalness. I like the toughness. And this is a really, I realize it sounds like an ethereal conversation, but it's not. Those of you out there that are still holding yourself back, and those of you out there that are successful, think about the things we talked about today. Giving back, it's not pretty. If you need to make it pretty, ask yourself, why am I spending the money? Why am I investing in that? Why am I doing that? And those of you that are still comparing your insides to everyone else's outsides, unless it's really important, just stop. All right, Jake, we're getting out of time. Any last parting words for the crew here?
Parting words for the crew would be, it's okay to have mentors and role models that are in a place you want to go. And where Mike said, don't compare your insides to their outsides, like that may be the pantheon, the pinnacle, the bust up on the, I'm going with like Greek mythology here of where they're going. That may be what they look like from the outside. And that's okay to look at that and go, yeah, that's where I want to go. Have the conversation with them. What did it take for you to get there? I will bet you there's some messy in there that you're not aware of, and you need to prepare yourself for the messy.
Amen to that. All right, folks, we're out of time today. My name is Mike Aberci for Jake Klandenni. Now it's your turn to disrupt.